reasons why car crashes happen. And as someone who brings claims for car crashes against insurance companies, against maybe trucking companies, other people that cause these crashes or are responsible for these crashes, I looked at a lot of these statistics trying to get my head around why these crashes are happening. We see a rear end crash and you ask yourself, well, why did this happen? And we have a fatal car crash that we're investigating right now, happened out of state, and apparently it was on the highway. There's no braking whatsoever, and the guy who's working for a company smashes into a gentleman's car and just creams the car, and wife and family are left without a husband. And you wonder, why did that happen? And you request a police report. You want to find out what happened. But the problem with the police report and the investigation is it's only as good as the information in. And so if the person involved in these crashes is not giving the law enforcement the straight scoop on it, then, they can arrive at the wrong conclusions. But, for me, just looking at a crash like that, I have to say, this guy was definitely distracted. I don't know how else you would explain what happened in this circumstance. And it turns out, in looking at this particular topic, that distraction actually tops the list of reasons why you have car crashes in Utah and nationally for that measure. Distraction is all around us. We have these smartphones now that demand our attention. They chirp, they chime, they buzz, even when the ringer is turned off. They buzz, they vibrate, demanding our attention. And we have been trained by our devices to respond quickly. It's like a ringing doorbell, or someone's dinging the bell, or our phone's ringing. Subconsciously, we start moving in that direction to answer that door, to pick up the phone, because we have been trained that way. And unfortunately, teenagers get their training very early. Parents are getting their children phones when they're still in elementary school. And, my kids give me a hard time. They say, Dad, I'm like one of the only kids in my class that doesn't have a phone. When can I get a phone? I was like, I don't know. It's going to be a while, I think, because, I think I made that mistake with my older kids, getting them a phone too early. And it just teaches them so early to be distracted and starts training them that the phone is there to control their life. And I just think that's a bad precedent. And for my two youngest, I'm honestly trying to put this off as long as possible. And if I do get my 14-year-old a phone, I'm sure he's not listening. It's going to be for calling and for texting. It's not going to be a smartphone, okay? It's going to be a dumb phone, all right? And it's not going to have internet. It's not going to be internet enabled. And these providers, they want to sell internet enabled phones. Why is that? So they can make money off of the data plans. And so they'll sell you the phone with the data plan. They'll unless it's unlimited, they'll charge you for all the data you download. They want you to go crazy on that phone because that adds to their bottom line. A lot of these phones also have games, and they could be simple games. They could be more involved games. The smarter phones, you could download whatever game is out there, for that platform. And so more and more, these phones are controlling our lives. And when they're in the car and you're driving down the road, it's just a bad combination. And in many cases, it's just a crash, not an accident. It's a crash waiting to happen. So really, it's no surprise that distraction tops the list. And along with the cell phones, I think, are the cars we drive today. The cars are getting smarter and smarter as time goes on. You can go back 20 years, and the cars back then are actually pretty dumb. There's not much to fiddle with. You got your heater controls, you got the radio, you got the other driver controls. But nowadays, in the newer cars, you have screens, right? You got touch screens, and these touch screens let you interface with your phone. And so you have these devices in the car that connect with your phone. They call it Apple Play. You can just plug your phone right in there, and it doesn't do everything your phone does, but it does a lot of the stuff that the phone does. And so you have these icons, you can push it. If a text message comes in, it'll read it to you. And you have all this music that's available. You can scan through music lists and search by your favorite artist, and you could be streaming this stuff while you're heading down the road at 70 miles an hour. And wow, there's just so much more distraction these days than there has been in the past. And I think it's led to what we've seen as an increase. Because these cars have gotten smarter. They have more safety devices in them. They have the mirrors that tell you if there's someone next to you. Some of them have adaptive cruise control, so they'll stop you short if you're approaching a car in front of you. ABS, of course, has been out for a while. But despite these safety features, the incident of crashes is going up. And I think that's because of the increased distraction that we're seeing in our cars with our smartphones. And it's just a recipe for continued mayhem down the road. Now, distraction, of course, is the number one reason that we see for car crashes. Two other top reasons, though, are impairment and fatigue. Impairment is pretty obvious. If someone has taken a substance in their system that has impaired them, maybe it could be alcohol, it could be over-the-counter drugs, and it could be a cold medicine, it could be a sleeping pill, it could be a narcotic prescribed for someone who has maybe been injured, maybe they had surgery, and of course people are getting the stuff illegally as well, and so there could be drug abuse, there could be people could be on illegal drugs as well. And there's a number of things that you can be on that will impair your ability to react quickly to something that happens on the road. But interestingly, getting back to that darn cell phone, they say that when you have the cell phone, it's even worse than if you're driving impaired. So, and even if you're hands-free, it is still a big distraction over not having a cell phone at all. Hands-free doesn't take away the distraction. It takes it down just a little bit, not very much actually. That distraction is still there. And who's been driving on the road? I know I have, and I'm talking on the phone, and I totally miss my exit because I am focused on that phone call, and I am driving subconsciously down the road, and I'm just not even thinking of that exit, and I miss it. I mean, think about you and your life. We are all susceptible to being distracted. So I think the thing for us, for those that want to drive safely, is to turn off the phone, put it in airplane mode so it's not going to chirp or vibrate for us. We can remove that distraction, and we don't have to worry about subconsciously looking to the phone, trying to see who's texting or calling. And that way we could drive more defensively, because when you combine yourself with somebody else who's doing the same thing, man, that just makes our roads a lot less safe. The third reason, and I'll just close on this, is fatigue. And we all know when we're driving, it could be through the night. If we're not stopping to get that rest, then we are putting ourselves in danger. We're putting the passengers in danger. We're putting other motorists on the road in danger. And so, use those rest stops. Get the sleep you need. Sometimes just, a 10 to 15 minute nap is all you need to sort of get through another few hours. Drink those energy drinks if you need to. But if you feel like you're just not all there, you need to stop. You need to pull over to avoid a crash. We don't like hearing about rollovers in the middle of the night, people flying out of the car because they didn't have their seatbelts on. Put your seatbelt on. We don't want that. You combine not wearing seatbelts with driving fatigued, oh man, it's just bad news. There are so many ways we can all prevent crashes, and I think it's time for just us to be more proactive about driving defensively and being safe on the road.